This is Tuesdays with Artificial Intelligence, with your host, Peter Ward.
Good afternoon, good morning, and perhaps good evening, depending on where you are. Andreas Velvat, good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? It's very
Not
early
too
in the
bad.
morning for you, isn't
It's pretty, yeah, it's about 7:10 in New York time, actually. Daylight savings, I was walking to work quite early. Watching the sunrise over New York City is quite nice. So where in Hungary do you live?
I live in the capital, Budapest.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
And you are an 18 times MVP, I see.
That's correct.
My word.
18.
So do you have all the discs
It's
like
an
lined
adult
up,
now.
multiple sort of like stacked up, do you?
I'm sorry?
Do you have the discs? So the MVP discs. Do you have those like stacked up on about like 6 of these?
Yeah, actually, it doesn't fit on the original crystal anymore. It doesn't have any space.
All right. Okay. No problem. So tell me a bit about when did you first start getting into computers then?
When did I start getting into computers? That was, let's see, about 10, 12 years of age.
All right. Okay. So
Quite a few decades behind me.
Okay, so that's interesting because that's, am I correct? Hungary was still part of the Warsaw Pact, the Soviet Union then?
Right. We were behind the Iron Curtain.
Okay.
So it was quite a struggle to get anything considered Western technology.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that, for example, my first computer was a Sinclair ZX Spectrum, which is basically the UK counterpart of the Commodore 64, if you remember that one.
I actually had one. I had a ZX81,
Awesome.
okay, in about 1981, funny enough. It was literally about, I think it was like £100 or whatever. I had 1K of memory, and then you plugged it in another thing, 16K, or then it was 48 or whatever. Then the Spectrum, which was a color. And you plug it into your portable TV, and you play like Manic Miner and Jetpack Willie, stuff like that. And then that was every kid in Britain had one of those computers. But yes,
Yeah.
And
that was quite a struggle to get us, to be honest, to get it into the country and then to get that for me. So,
well, that was the thing.
Some stories there, but
how would you get that? How would you actually get that into the country? Like, because
it was my father who got it, and my father and my mother were separated for quite a long time. And since I was interested in computers, basically my mother made a deal with my father that he would give me the computer in the place of the outstanding, payments that he owed us. So quite an interesting story there. But
no, I can only imagine on this. Okay, so today's topic we're going to speak about. I know you do quite a bit of work with AI, but we're really talking about like I would say natural language and how artificial intelligence is influencing the user experience. Just go into a bit more detail. Why is this so different now? Like what's going on here?
Yeah. So that's what I was always interested in. How can you get technology closer to people who are not, let's say, technologically educated or knowledgeable or just inclined? And basically, my story with AI started with an OpenAI presentation, like something like 4 years ago. It was before ChatGPT, and basically they showed off their latest model. And the demo that really caught me was when they showed it off inside Microsoft Word or some word processor. And the story was they had a poem on the screen, 4 lines for every verse, and then one of them turned on the microphone and just dictated, turn every 5th line bold. And what happened then is the AI created a short bit of code, like a Visual Basic macro or something, which actually got ran, and it turned every 5th line bold. And that's when it clicked me, because
This was your aha moment, was it?
It was. It was my origin story, if you like. And that's when it clicked me, because what happened there is that you have a little bit of code that would have taken any experienced developer 5-10 minutes to write and test and whatnot. And that was presented to you based on a voice prompt in 2 or 3 seconds, and then run, and then did something that would have been minutes to do by hand, scroll down for every verse and bold and select and bold, and you would have to know how the word worked to do that. And instead you could just say turn every fifth line bold, or turn every first line of every verse bold, or something like that. And this is just a very quick throwaway code that gets created for you. It's never going to be seen by anybody else. It never is going to be run by anybody else.
It reminds me a little bit like, this is going back in the late 90s when, everyone was using these search engines like Alta Vista and Mama.com. And then somebody said to me about Google, and you just used it, and it was just like, wow, it was just like, this is an amazing. This is amazing. I'm not going back.
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of, so you got speed. So obviously the speed in generating the UI is in that interaction, and that was obviously voice as well. Now I know with a lot of things with ChatGPT and Copilot, people are using like more of the prompting, hence the prompting engineers and everything. What the fact that you mentioned voice, I thought you think that's going to be more of the future then in terms of that user experience.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm around developers and technology people a lot. And I think I only know one person who can write as fast with a keyboard as they can dictate with their voice. So even us, there's a huge speed difference. So yeah, voice is way more effective. Voice is way more expressive, to be honest. You can think about what you say. You don't have to put everything very precisely. You can go back and, actually I meant to say that, and do things like this.
But let me ask you this: is this ready for showtime? Because like there was a software I think called Dragon.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the Dragon technology?
Yeah. It used to be a dictation app.
Yeah, now that's been around for years and years, at least 20 years, at least 20, 25 years, at least, if not more. And so this, I'd seen this and I thought, that looks interesting, but I never actually met anybody who actually, you'd always get some oddball in the corner person who would swear by it, but it certainly wasn't universal across the workforce.
So yeah, the Dragon started out with simple commanding because that was easiest, and then where it got interesting for me is when it got natural language dictation, so continuous dictation of not predefined commands and stuff like that. But no, I didn't get into Dragon either. A lot of my computer work is not about creating documents, especially not in English, although I do that a fair bit as well. And being in Hungary, we are always a second/third tier country when it comes to language. And actually, that's changed a second/third tier country. So basically, you take it for granted that any speech-enabled or language-enabled stuff works in English. And for me, it's always been okay. So now it works in English, and let's wait a couple of years until it even thinks about working in Hungarian. Now with the current AI models, ChatGPT, either in text or in speech, it is much closer. So I can do about 90% of the stuff in Hungarian that you can do in English. And the amazing stuff is that it is just a side product of how AI models work.
Right. So tell me what are the typical technology stacks for the voice basically voice interfaces?
What are the technology stacks? Well, the classical, and you can say classical for something that's like 2 years old. That's funny. The classical way of approaching these things is you tie a couple of things after each other. So you have a speech to text engine, which converts your speech to written text. And then you have a language model, which is basically like the ChatGPT's model. It has text in and then text out. And then the text that it has outputted is then turned into speech using text-to-speech technology.
Okay.
That's the classical way of doing things. Now, the latest technology, latest models, AI models, are multimodal. And that means that basically they treat image and voice input the same way they treat text. And it's actually going into the same latent space, whatever. And that means that it can understand stuff like, I don't know, I was coughing a couple of days ago and it's or sneezing and it said, bless you, which is something that you can't do in a textual interface.
Okay.
So now these models, these multimodal models, basically put all of these together, but not in a step-by-step way, but in an integrated way. Okay. And that means that they are much faster to react. They're much more natural to react as well.
Okay. So when you say, if you look at this whole voice interface, you like where's Apple with Siri's in that, or is that just dead technology these days? Okay.
It's been a forerunner for a long time, and a lot of people got comfortable talking to their phones. But these days, because they're not using these language models that ChatGPT and Gemini and others use, they seem like ancient, outdated technology.
Right, and obviously,
but I'm sure they will get to that and keep the Siri brand name, which is pretty.
Well, they'll have. I think they're going to have to. But like when I try to look at the every home, or most homes in America have got Alexa. Okay.
Right.
Now, however, most people use Alexa, tell me the weather. Alexa, play Taylor Swift. Okay, this is not groundbreaking experience here. What to me is missing here, it's almost a bit like, Alexa, book a hotel in San Francisco, the same hotel I stayed in last year. And Alexa then integrates with hotels.com. Okay, and it does, and then it places the booking and puts the invite in your Outlook. Or there's a dialogue going on saying that hotel is booked. Do you want a similar hotel? No, I know you like this. I know your maximum is $200 a night. Okay, and you want and you're going at that conference, and I know that conference because it's in your calendar. I've got it, and I know I'll get it in walking distance because that. So there's that back and forth going on. That to me, that's where it starts really making a difference.
And that is something that is technologically possible today.
But but it's not mainstream. You can't do that in hotels.com.
Right.
Technology possible, but it's not there as a mainstream. Okay, what platform? What platform are we talking about here? Like hotels.com, Expedia? I don't think they do that.
So when I say technologically possible, I mean you have the little Lego bricks that you can put together and make it work. There's no actual research needed. There's no, okay, if we only invent this piece, then we can put it together. All of the pieces are invented. All of the pieces are there. What takes time, and the companies like OpenAI and Google and a lot of others are working on it. What takes time is to, as you said, to get it to mainstream, to put the pieces together in a way that, for example, this hotel or hotels.com or booking.com or whoever can plug their little piece into it and make it work. But again, how you put those together through stuff like MCP servers and others, that exists. That's a written specification that's in wide use even today.
And
it just takes time.
Yeah, but also
next year we have the same conversation, and you're going to be able to do that.
Sorry?
Next year, if we have the same conversation, you're going to be able to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Because it's a bit like, I was going to say, it seems to me like you're having to jump through too many hoops. And, it's a bit like when the internet came about is when Steve Jobs came out with the iMac or whatever. And it was just basically you take it out the box, you plug it in, and it connects to the internet. There was none of this. You take it out the box, you have to uninstall all the bloatware, install AOL, figure out your phone company and everything else. It was just like, take it out the box, plug it in, turn it on. Bingo, done. Okay, that's when you know it becomes mainstream.
Yeah.
Okay, and like we're not quite.
So we have the pieces. We have the pieces. We started the discussion with the ZX81.
Yes.
Which used to be, or its predecessor, the ZX80, I think, used to be.
It was a ZX80, yes.
It was a kit. So you got mailed the little pieces, and you had to put them together, solder together, and that's how it was so cheap. Well, now we're in the kit phase for developers. Next year, they're gonna ship you the whole computer.
Okay, but that's it. Something is like a hobbyist, and then it becomes mainstream. People then realize we don't want some sort of like a hobby club. How do we make this thing mainstream? And then, like a lot of things, you have to dumb it down, okay, and make it a kit, make it a template, okay, and nobody reads anything anymore. So therefore, the user manual needs to be like one page basically.
And dumbing it down is actually where the AI excels. And I don't mean this pejoratively. So I don't mean this in a bad way. But it is where the AI excels. You don't have to learn how the Booking.com website works in the future. And maybe this is not next year, but this is where things are headed. You don't have to learn how the Booking.com website works. You don't have to learn or hunt for, okay, but I only have, I don't know, $100 per night. Where can I limit my budget? You don't have to know what a filter is to do that. You can just say, okay, but don't show me $500 hotels because I can't afford that. So what that the AI may ask you, what is your budget? And you can say $100, and then it can automatically change the range for you without you having to click something.
Well, that's true, but also where like something like hotels.com will excel is it will create, and where it will create sticking power is the fact if it's got that personal information on your schema. Like at the moment on hotels.com, every time I book a hotel in London, I have to redo my filters and everything else. Okay. But if it's got that personal information on with you already, and it's got access to other things like your Outlook, it's going to be a total pain for me to go to another platform and get my personal schema set up. So hotels.com has learned about me. It knows my lifestyle. Okay. And then it makes that booking. It's not just on the hotel or the price. It's the seamless way of actually booking it as well. And particularly where it will get to a stage where, like, I don't need to put my credit card information in. Okay, and also the hotel itself knows who I am. Well, welcome back. Okay, here's your newspaper. Here's your breakfast. Okay, we know what breakfast you like. It adds that personal touch. It makes that personalized experience very well, much warmer, much less friction on that front. So
let me up the ante on that a bit. What the hotels.com doesn't know is that you have a trip to Seattle in March, right?
Right.
Because, for example, you're going to the MVP summit or whatever.
But you know
and
that.
The hotels.com doesn't know that, right? So it's not as personalized. If you have your own agent and you can just tell it, get me a hotel for the MVP summit, and that's all you have to say. Then it can discuss with the hotels.com, see availabilities, maybe ask for your preferences or give it your preferences that only your agent knows outside of your usual hotel reservation routine.
So this is a great idea. You should write some code and call it travel agent. Okay, and it can book your travel, it does all your travel schedule.
So here's the thing. OpenAI as ChatGPT is so general that it can already do this for you, except for the actual hotel booking. But they are working on that. They are working on payments and advertisements and all the related stuff. And so does Google, and so does, as I said, so do a couple of others. And this is coming. If you allow an AI agent to look at your calendar, then it will be able to see that you have this and this booked, and you can just say, well, I need a hotel for this trip to Seattle. And then it will be able to negotiate with the agents in the hotel.com or the hotel's own agent or whatever. So that's the future we're going to. This is probably not going to happen next year, but
okay.
Years.
Okay, so tell me, what do you see happening in the whole Microsoft space in terms of the user experience with Office, Teams, and Windows? Where are you seeing the voice?
So I wouldn't limit it to Microsoft. If somebody non-Microsoft does it, then more power to them. But the way I think about it is basically, and when I do talk about this at conferences, I usually start this presentation with asking somebody to bring me a bottle of water that I accidentally left in the table or somewhere. And I tell them, oh, well, I left a bottle of water. Can you please bring that to me? And then they, bring it to me. And then I have a little menu, a little website that I vibe coded up just for this purpose, which is, okay, so here's a menu on top of the website, and this menu also has the option to bring me water. And I ask the audience to guess where it is. And is it in the press releases? No. Is it in the company? No. Is it in the the give menu? No, because that's not where I put it. It's somewhere buried under the support menu item. So because my logic is that you're going to support the speaker, me, with a bottle of water from the table, and all of these are little cascading menu items. So I buried it there, and that's my logic as a developer, as a designer. But if you want to access the same menu item, for example, to instruct a robot to bring me the water, you're going to have a hard time finding it. You're going to spend at least a minute finding it.
At least, yeah.
And instead, you can just say, please bring me the water from that table over there. And that's the power of natural language. And that's I think a key of how you don't have to adapt to the user interface and the person who designed your user interface, however great they are. But the software can understand your intent and actually invoke the right, method, function, whatever on your robot that is going to initiate the process that you need.
So this is going to get to us. Are you kind of like saying that, we're using an interface, your voice, your vocabulary, and perhaps your phrases are going to be different to mine. So at the moment in the interface, it's very standardized. Like you go through hotels.com, it's pretty methodical, the user journey, you could say. Here, the voice journey it could be very personalized to the individual.
The voice journey can be personalized. The AI can remember things about you. So, for example, if we go back to my first example of the word bolding out every verse or every first line of a verse, You can say it a different way than I can, and that's new. That's new. That this didn't exist 3 years ago. We were playing with keywords and trying to find the right word, but then I would have to write, as a developer, if I was developing something like this, I would have to write a little bit of code that would just for this instance, and I wouldn't be able to think about everything. So it would be hard to identify your intent, and it would be hard to act on it. And now both of those are solved. The AI can understand your intent, even if you phrase it totally different than me, even if I phrase it in Hungarian and you phrase it in English. The AI can generate a little piece of code that will do that. And the AI can also reason about how to put basic actions after each other, and depending on the result of one, do the other thing. So I can just as easily say to the robot, bring me that bottle of water from the table, and don't bring it to me, put it on that bottle, on that table over there. And if the robot has the basic functions, then it can put together and plan the actions and execute the actions. And this is something that no developer would have been able to prepare for before the AI revolution that's happening now.
Okay, so but the other thing as well, let me ask you this: how can the voice? Let me word this better. Like, you have content and you have context. Okay, so get me the water. You're at this conference. Get me the water is the content. The context is you're at a conference and you want that water not necessarily given to me in my hand, just put on the podium. So right. How is the AI figuring out the difference between content and context?
So some of the context it can infer. If your robot has a camera, it can understand that it's maybe it's in a conference room or at least who me is or where a table is. Some of it cannot infer, and you have to provide it in advance. So that's what we used to call prompt engineering. Now we call it context engineering. And if we're stepping back from the physical world and the robotics and just into regular 2D boring applications on your screen, it's the same. You have to tell it. You have to tell the AI, for example, in my previous example with a hotel, right? You have to tell it, okay, now you're acting as a hotel booking agent, and you have access to these settings, and you can change the price range using this function on the screen, and you can perform the search using this function. You can do all those things using this and that function. So you basically have to give it an example of not just an example, you give it context on what it is. And then it can pretty well perform that. This is actually one of the first demos, not with hotels, but with another web shop thing that I did at the company.
What are you working on any voice UI projects right now?
So we have a digital hotel concierge, which is basically able to take the place of our concierge in certain areas. So you go in, you can ask about nearby restaurants, and it is going to recommend you the restaurants that the hotel's owner prioritizes because financial incentives and whatnot. It can give you information about the city, touristic information. It can tell you. You can ask, okay, I have 2 hours free. What do you recommend I do tonight? And then it can tell you that you should go and have a stroll on the banks of the Danube. But if it's raining, then it's not going to recommend you that. It can reserve, taxi. It can tell you about the interesting sites in the city and all this kind of stuff. Reserve fitness room, restaurants, whatever.
So hang on. This is like the doorman. This is like a virtual doorman, isn't it, really? of a hotel?
It's not really a doorman. It's not about greeting. It's more like a virtual concierge. But yes.
Okay.
And now we are adopting this and had pretty good success with this in a conference/event scenario. So imagine a conference, hundreds of presentations throughout many days, and you go up to a very charming hostess, and then you ask them where is the toilet, and they can smile and show it to you. That's nice. But if you ask them, okay, I'm a lawyer and I'm interested in what sessions I should visit as a lawyer, then the hostess is not going to be able to answer that because they don't know the conferences program intimately. But our digital concierge can basically help the hostess here, and our digital concierge can recommend you, okay, I recommend you to go to this session and this session, and that session is presented by, I don't know, the justice minister of the country, so you should definitely watch that if you're into law and stuff, and it is going to happen at this and this point. You can ask about the presenters, and it is going to bring up their picture and some details, both in text and in voice as well. So it's a very novel way, and I think a very interesting way to interact with technology, and totally different than browsing a website of the conference.
Well, you now have the apps. I've seen some pretty good conference apps where they've got a lot of that information. But yeah, I can see what you're doing for conferences on that. If it could be real time, that could be quite good as well.
It is real time, and it is very expressive.
And it's expensive. Okay. Did you say
expressive?
That?
Expressive.
Oh,
is
I thought you said expensive. I said okay. Okay. And okay. So is this what you're working on? Is this now live or is it going live?
This is a service that we provide to conference organizers and event organizers, and it has been tested in about half a dozen conferences so far, so it works pretty well. The hotel concierge is live as a in the Budapest Vision Hotel. If you ever come here, then you should be able to see it. And it's a large, basically life-sized virtual assistant that you can walk up to and talk to.
Very cool. I did see something on someone where there was a ticket office. I think it might have been in Berlin, on the Berlin subway, and there was no human, but you interacted with the machine, and it looked like there was a human assistant. Basically, the glass was like a massive screen, and I saw that, and I thought that looks quite, and that looked interesting. But it was almost a bit like, hang on a minute, if I want an automated experience, I'll just go for an automated experience rather than an automated experience that looks like a human experience. On that.
Yeah, I mean, whether it looks like a human or not is matter of taste. Let's say that. Some people find it off-putting. Some people find it charming. Some people were angry because it happened to be a woman, and why are we objectifying women? But then you can switch it to a man with one keystroke, and then that's it. So there's certainly an interesting thing about the visual presentation. But what is key, I think, is not so much the visual presentation that just gets you to come close and start in a friendlier way. What's interesting is the voice interaction, and what we do, and I think where we are somewhat unique, is that we're not just doing voice; we're doing voice plus visuals. So when you talk to the AI, it hears your voice. It also has a camera, but there's all sort of legal reasons in the EU why we can't use it as much as technically possible. So you walk up to it, it greets you, and then if you ask something, for example, if you ask the hotel concierge about something, it is going to not just talk to you about the fitness room in the hotel. It is also going to give you a slideshow of the fitness room, and then just text you information of when the fitness room is open without it having to say something. So all of that combined, I think, is the sweet spot, because humans can output data best with their voice, right? So when I'm talking, is probably the best way to output the data. But to consume data for me is probably going to be much faster visually, but I also need the voice. And that's why we are focusing on both of these.
That makes sense on that. When do you think this is going to become sort of like mainstream here? Like are we talking about 5 years? Like a good example, like now, if you go in New York, every bus stop now, in billboards, you used to see a billboard and people would stick the paper on a billboard. Now everything's digital. Everything. I almost like look at it. It's very rare. In fact, it gets my attention when I now see billboards which are not digital.
Interesting.
Because it's now like that's the novelty is it's not digital, actually. And when do you think what you're talking about is going to become it's going to become mainstream?
I think again, technologically we're there. We have all the little pieces. What is needed is for the businesses to pick this up.
Right. Well, yes.
And unfortunately, I don't have a crystal ball for that. But I would say because it is interactive. So the big difference between the billboard, the digital billboard that shows you photos or little videos or whatnot, and an interactive assistant like this is that it's interactive. So as soon as you walk up to it and there's a proper microphone that can separate you from the surrounding noise, that's important. And you can chat with it. Then in the bus stop, you can ask when is the next bus is going to come, or how can I get to, I don't know, Times Square from here, and it is going to give you all of that information. Our hotel can do that. Our hotel concierge can do that. It can give you a QR code that you can scan and use Google Maps to navigate to wherever you want to go.
I think it's going to take a little bit of time for people to get used to this. Like,
absolutely.
And like when I see it, like it's like if you ever have to change a hotel reservation and you have to chatbot on the website, it's almost a bit like going through 7 realms of hell to actually get the answer. And you normally you get in these continuous loops. Hi, can I help you? Can I help you? No. I need to change this flight. Okay. Please give me your the flight number. Okay. And you realize I just want to speak to a human being. Okay. And this goes back like 40 years ago when the buildings used to have phone operators. Okay, and then they started getting rid of those, and you could then dial people's desks directly, and there was a sort of like a cheat sheet to say to bypass the sort of like the automated system, press 0 or press this code, and you'll speak to someone immediately. It's because people just quick results, and people do want to. That user experience has to be as human and as quick as possible. Okay, so that other receiving listener, whether it's a human or machine, needs to understand immediately what you want and how do I get that information as quick as possible. Which is partly why there's a little bit of the case where the banks sort of like used to offshore their customer service. Okay, and now they're bringing it back into America because they realize that there's too much frustration. There's a language barrier. Okay, and people just want to speak to somebody and get a result quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what we discussed earlier about the AI understanding your intent and not just your direct commands, which you have to know in advance, your set of choices, and then select one of those. And what happens if it's not there, or you don't know which one is there? That is where AI can be a big game changer. Mm-hmm. For example, I don't know if you have this in the US. I assume you do. If you go into a bank or some official space where there are a lot of people waiting, then you can. In Hungary, you can basically. You have a display that lists all the services the place provides. For example, for the bank, I don't know, company accounts, this and that and that, and then you press one of those, and then you get a little piece of paper with a number on it, and then the number gets called. Do you have that in the US?
Not in a bank, no, but you sometimes get that in the doctor's office, actually.
Right.
All the books as well.
So what happened to me the other day is I had to go in, and my son forgot his PIN code. I think he's gonna kill me if he hears this. But anyway, my son forgot his PIN code, and we had to arrange a fix for that. And you have to do this in person because of security and other reasons. And in the list of items, there was no thing like the bank card. So there was nothing to do with bank cards. And there was actually 2 items that both of those, in my mind, could fit what I needed. So what did I do? I pressed one of them. I hope that I pressed the right one. Now, if I had a natural language assistant there, then I could have just said, I need to get a new PIN card for my son. And then it would have immediately known which of the 10 categories I should go to, right? So again, not confirming to the logic of the people who designed the system, but the AI understanding what you need and trying to fix it with the tools that is available to it.
Okay, we're almost like running out of time. Good chat on this. I have to say it's definitely the future, and it's coming to us quite quick on that front. So Andre, I will say goodbye, and maybe we'll come in, speak to me we should do it again in a year's time and see where we are with the voice activated UI.
Awesome, I'm up to it.
Anytime. On that, but it's definitely coming our ways very quickly. All right, well, enjoy the day, and thanks for being a guest on the show. Good chatting.
Thank you, Peter. Bye.
Take care. Bye.